Guys, thank you for joining us for the Music Marketing Monthly Roundtable, hosted by Dayna Young and myself, Carolyn Ortiz. We're here today with the beautiful Kelsey Kahla. Did I
Kayla.
pronounce that?
Yeah,
Kayla,
same
thank you
thing.
from Girl Music. So excited to have you. The format of our roundtable is really simple. We are going to do a 20-minute chat with Kelsey today, and our topic is so exciting. We're going to talk about how to avoid content fatigue on social media, which is a topic we all need to learn about, right? So we're going to chat with Kelsey for a while and then go into a collaborative roundtable where we open up the discussion for anyone here to join. And then we'll open it up for a 15-minute Q&A with our guests on the show. So with that, I'd like to introduce Dayna Young. Dayna is the founder of Fred and August, who has 15 years of working in the global music industry as a marketer, working with artists and brands and companies. She's an incredible human being. I've had the pleasure of knowing Dayna for, what, 5 months, 6 months now,
Yeah,
maybe a
about
little
that
bit
now.
longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the first people I met in person when we launched the playground, and has been just an incredible contributor to our new playground community. So truly appreciate you, Dayna. And I'm going to hand it over to you now to introduce Kelsey and our monthly marketing roundtable.
Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate that introduction. Well, everybody, let's give a warm welcome to Kelsey Kahla, the co-owner of, how do I say it? Am I supposed to say girl
Yeah,
music?
girl music. Yeah,
All right,
baby.
I like it. It rolls off the tongue.
It does.
Kelsey is a music enthusiast. She's living between San Diego and Spokane with her partner, two pit bulls, and a fluffy ginger cat. And we all know those ginger cats are the crazy ones.
The
So she's
crazy
got
one.
work cut out for her there. Kelsey has a background in musical theatre from Idyllwild Arts
Yeah.
Academy, and she majored in radio broadcasting, which tracks right now because you really do look like you're about to launch the podcast. I love the setting that you're in.
You. Yeah,
So,
we're going to stream later, so I gotta be ready.
exactly. Uh, she majored in radio broadcasting at Point Park University, where she also became music director of her college radio station. Today, Kelsey creates a community of music obsessed girls who share a passion for genres like indie rock, 70s funk, disco, electronic, and anthem charting tunes. And we're really excited to have Kelsey here today as we dig into the topic of how to avoid burnout or how to avoid content fatigue, burnout essentially, while building your fan community.
Yeah.
So we'll dig right
I
in
just want to say, oh, I'm so sorry, Dana.
and
Sorry.
go
There
for it.
must be a delay on my end. I was just going to say, Kelsey, you have an incredible radio voice. So
Oh
I
my
think you
gosh.
picked the perfect career.
Thank you. I wish radio was still alive and well, but unfortunately, we've all switched to different mediums.
Yeah, the format has changed, right? But I love that you still stay so connected to a community and build a community, which truly is the essence of radio.
Yes, agreed. Agreed 1,000%.
All right. Social media sucks. We all know it. We hate it. We're beholden to it, but we have to use it, especially in music marketing and the music community within a day-to-day basis. Let's take a quick look, though, at where we are at now with social media for musicians. What does the landscape look like right now, Kelsey, and what's upcoming?
Yeah, so the social media landscape right now is a little testy. We have TikTok who could possibly be banned coming up in February, I believe. We have Instagram and Meta really trying to consistently change their algorithm, which confuses content creators alike, not even just in the music sector, but all over. You have Threads now. You have all these little tech companies now starting their own platforms that while they're while they're great in theory, they're not necessarily useful to a lot of people. You also have Twitch, which is becoming way bigger in the music streaming world. You have YouTube, which is also never going to go away. It's YouTube, right? So you see a lot of music content creators and artists themselves running over to YouTube to make long form videos or post their music videos or whatever it may be. So the social media landscape right now is very spread thin. I think it's really hard to kind of dedicate yourself to a few platforms when there's so much coming at you from all ends of like, you need to be on this, you need to be on this. And I think that's actually causing a lot of burnout in today's society because we're having to come up with new ideas for each platform, right? The social media experts always say don't copy and paste on platforms. I don't believe in that because you can't, there's no way. There's not enough time in the day to make something new for each platform. So I think it really is we're kind of coming to a head, I personally feel like, of where social media is going to have a breakdown and then rise from the ashes, so to speak. And I think that's where it's really interesting for music creators and music content creators. I think we can really start creating something exciting that is going to push us forward in the space without it really becoming a burden on us. And I talk about social media fatigue all the time. I'm currently in a fatigue myself right now. So it's definitely something that Ashley and I at Girl Music, we really love to keep our eye on the pulse of what's kind of going on. And I really do think Instagram and Meta and YouTube and Twitch are the future of content creators and musicians. And I think those are the places to really focus your energy on and tune out all the rest of the noise, because if you are already burning out from creating content for one platform, you're going to go even harder and burn even harder if you spread yourself thin.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's stressful out there.
It really is. And I mean, it's even something that you see carry across, not just from those who are working directly with musicians, but with the musicians themselves, where nowadays they're like, wait, I want to be a musician. I don't want to be a content creator, or I don't want to be having to think about creating content every single day. And that realization that it is now just as much a part of their job in some degrees as creating the music is.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's honestly something we have had very serious discussions about with a lot of artists we've worked with. We know social media sucks, but unfortunately, in this day and age, it's something they have to do. It's not even it's not even an option anymore. If you don't do social media, you're not going to be discovered because I think, what's the stat? It's like 100,000 songs are released on Spotify a day. It's something crazy like that. It's hard to get noticed. We are oversaturated with music. We don't really have a lot of connection except to the bigger artists who have the marketing money to push their music out. And so we're really left with a floundering community of amazing artists, by the way, like way, way talented. And they're floundering because they're like, I don't want to post on social media. And I think that's not the way to think about it. I think you think about it in a way of, well, regular advertising these days are dead. Like no one sees a billboard, no one looks at a park bench. It's very much all social media oriented. So you really do have to have some sort of savviness about it if you want to be an artist these days.
I think that really leads me into my next question, Kelsey, right? As to like, why do you need social media? And for me, that's storytelling, right? So my next question is, what role does storytelling play in growing an artist fan base online?
Huge, 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 huge. I am, this sounds so mean, but I'm sick to death of people with no story, no artist, no real passion behind what they're saying, behind the music they release, except I just want to release music. That's all grand and dandy. And yeah, you're really talented. But these days, it's all about connection, right? That's why we're on social media, is to connect with other people we value, we are intrigued by, whatever that may be. And if we don't have that, if we don't have a story to kind of root for you for, you're not going to you're not going to build a community because they don't know who you are truly. And I do know a lot of artists who want to protect themselves and their mental health, and we'll talk about that later. But I really do think that you have to share a little bit of yourself with your community, because otherwise there's no barrier of entry for them as fans. And storytelling is the best way to do that. Storytelling is, it really holds a lot of weight for people. And I think as an artist, if you don't know who you are yourself, you're not going to be able to be successful in the music industry right now. Um, we tell a lot of our artists that the first thing they have to do before they even release music, before they get on social media, before they do anything, build your story out. What does it look like? For example, if I was to build my story, it would be musical theater, right? I was heavily involved in it. Some trauma, we're fine. We have therapy. But it's something that I'm very vocal about protecting people and their mental health. And because of those experiences in my life, that's where I am today. And I think that storyline itself is something that gravitates people towards you, right? It's something that you're like, oh, I experienced something like that too. I'm going to love this person. And the thing with music these days, and my dad, who is in his 70s, was in a band when in 1970s, he was telling me, it was never about the artist back then. It was only about the music. And today it has completely flipped, where if a person doesn't like the artist, they're not going to listen to their music. And I think that's a very very interesting flip that we had. So if you don't have a storytelling abilities, don't worry about it, but literally live within your conviction of who you are, your morals, your ethics, and everything like that, and tell your truth. Be honest, be open. Don't be scared. I know it's scary, but make sure that you're really creating community of people who are also like-minded as you.
Mm-hmm. Um, my second half of the question is, can storytelling really impact an artist's success on social media? Which I feel like your strong answer is absolutely fuck yes.
Absolutely fuck yes. I mean, we've seen it, right? We've seen all the TikTokers, all the people who Chapel Roan, perfect example, right? She started on TikTok 100 years ago. And what she did was just be honest, be her kind of crazy self, make these cute little videos, and people loved that, right? People gravitated towards her because she was so real to us. She was a person. She wasn't Lady Gaga, right? She wasn't mysterious. It was something really cool to see about how many people love her as her and not as an artist, but just be connected to the person that she is, a little weird, a little queer, a little fun. We see it all the time. Again, in TikTok, you have people like oh God, what's his name? I forgot his name, but like there are so many people that you can look to on TikTok that are storytellers and musicians. And I think that is the biggest reason as to why they're actually blowing up. Because again, on TikTok, you get 30 seconds of a song. People are not following you for the song, they're following you because they like you.
Mm-hmm. I have another question, a follow-up question, but I feel
Follow it
like,
up.
Dayna, should I wait
No,
until
go for it.
further?
Go for it,
Okay.
girly.
Question, does the story have to be about the person, right? Like, can the story be about a story? Can someone create a world
Yes.
around them that is not about, because like you said, mental health and privacy, or they just don't feel like telling you their mom's name, right?
Yes.
Like maybe someone just wants to keep things to themselves, but they want to create a world around them, a fictional world. Do you find that works as well? Or say they want to use animated characters and videos, right? They don't want to use pieces of themselves.
Hmm.
Um, do you feel like that is as impactful?
I wouldn't say it's as impactful, but you do, again, have a lot of examples of artists who protect themselves deeply. I mean, look at Daft Punk. We don't know what they look like, right? They've made millions and millions off of their music. I actually know of an artist who really writes music around books and characters. And so a lot of her social media is actually her explaining the connection between her music and the characters. While that's not necessarily super personal, I'm still gravitating towards her because I'm a big reader. I'm still curious. So I think there is a little bit to be said about, yeah, you can absolutely build a world around you and have people perceive you that way. Again, I hate to say it, Lady Gaga, right? Like she's 1,000 different people. And we don't really truly know who Stephanie is. But at the same time, we love the mystical aura of that vibe. We gravitate towards something that maybe, while not personal, is beautiful, is visually beautiful, is entertaining, is intriguing. So yeah, I think absolutely you can. As for impact though, if you're a smaller artist, it's just so hard. Yeah, you can niche yourself like that, but it is really, really hard to kind of break out into that world without having a community already built, if that makes sense.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, back on track.
So essentially, storytelling is about building a personal brand as an
Yes.
artist, right? It's about what does the world in which you inhabit look like? What are the consistent touch points that people can expect from you at every step of your musical journey? You know, when you look at Lady Gaga, who you just referenced, it's that we know that her story is inconsistently consistent, right? Or
Yeah,
consistently inconsistent. We know with every new project, we're going to get a new Gaga. Or
exactly.
with Halsey, we know that we're going to get a really like deep dive into mental health in terms of her journey and her messaging.
Mhm.
And so, why should artists care about building a personal brand? And then, second to
Yeah.
that, how does having a personal brand as a musician actually help them create long-term success beyond viral moments?
So one thing we always state, and I will, this is going to be on my gravestone, is virality is not the goal. I hate the idea that virality is your goal. If that's your goal as an artist, I'm so sorry, you're not going anywhere because virality doesn't breed community. It just breeds a bleh of people who don't really know or care, but they saw one clip of you and they won't interact with you for the rest of time. I think for branding, it's so, so, so important to have branding. I am a huge user of Pinterest. I love building boards for musicians of like whatever their vibe. I had an artist, she is an R&B pop artist in Atlanta, and her whole thing is like fairies, mystical woods, like that entire vibe, but her whole entire album covers, fonts, color schemes, all of that is like a an oomph to her story that she wants to tell. And I think that that's why branding is so important is while it may not be the most important thing in your world at that moment, later down the line, you're going to want to have branding because people will recognize it. For example, girl music, we are known for our very bright colors on our page. We're very silly, we're very fun. And people know when a girl music post is up without reading who posted it. You know what I mean? It's very much a thing that helps further your storytelling again. It's something that is very often missed because artists don't really know, like, oh, maybe I should have a specific font. Maybe I should have an idea of what I want this to look like. And you'd be surprised, not a lot of them do. They don't think about it in that way. And I think that's because they're not marketers at their core, right? They didn't go to college for marketing. And I think that's where people get a little weary. They get a little, really, I need a brand. And it's like, oh, absolutely, honey. Because when a label or a manager comes a knocking and you don't have that all set up, you're now like behind. You need to catch up and possibly rebrand and possibly do all this back end work that you just don't want to have to do. So do it now. Do it beginning. And Canva, best app on the internet. I literally 24/7, I have a Canva tab open. It is so accessible for people who aren't graphic designers, who aren't artists in that sense. It has a billion free fonts, it has a billion cool templates. Truly, you can work your way into building a brand for yourself just on Canva, and it really, really helps.
I have a couple thoughts on that.
Love it.
Two of them. if we are talking about branding in the beginning of a career,
Mm-hmm.
I get this I get this often when I talk to developing artists. I'm going to talk about the developing artist subset here. And they're like, Carol, what do I spend money on for artist services? Right? B.A.K has our artist services division. We always want to plug our fantastic freelancers into gigs. So I talk to artists consistently. And a lot of them we talk about content and what's needed. And they're like, well, I have X amount of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know developing artists, one of their biggest limitations is their budget. They don't have
Yes.
money. Branding, shout out to Canva, requires a certain strategy, right?
Yes.
If you're going to do brand marketing correctly, there needs to be a level of strategy behind it. There has to be reason. And I
Mm-hmm.
find that to be a specific skill, right?
Very. Mm-hmm.
Brand marketing is a certain skill set that I think a lot of artists, we assume that an artist has the ability to brand themselves because they are a creative human being.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an implied skill that most artists actually don't have because it
Mm-hmm.
requires graphic design, video design, Canva, colors, connecting visual elements when they are auditory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sound. Um, is this the spending on the branding and working with someone for that strategy? Is that a spend that you would suggest that they build into the beginning of their career? Given, now here's my part two of this, if they brand themselves early, do they
Mm-hmm.
get stuck in this branding? Right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Yeah.
remember when the weekend and his hair, and it took him so long to cut his hair off because he's like, this is my signature. And he was so conflicted
Yeah.
because he got stuck into it very early. So,
Mm-hmm.
do you, all of the questions that I just mentioned, what's your thoughts on them? And but mainly, do you feel like this is something that a developing artist should concentrate and spend money on in the beginning?
I think it really depends on the artist. There are 1,000% artists who do have that visual keenness to develop their brand. But I think for the beginning of their career, if they have a budget, absolutely, absolutely get a logo. The best money I ever spent was having someone make me a logo. Not only because you have something that is now yours and you get to put it out, but like the amount of times, we get asked, can we have your logo? Can we have your logo? I ask for logos from artists all the time if they have one for videos that I make for content creation. It is something that is important. And if you have the budget, I'd say absolutely. There are incredible freelance graphic designers, I'm sure, on the platform that will be reasonable in their rates. And you don't have to go to this big, highfalutin branding company to get what you need done. I think spend your money wisely if that is something you really have a strong urge to do, and you don't personally want to do it. I always say don't do things you hate doing. It's why I don't do a lot of editing because I cry every time. But we really are we believe in outsourcing when you absolutely hate doing something. So if you're looking at branding yourself and you're like, I don't know where to start, what to do, I can't do it, absolutely find it in your budget to hire someone to help you with your branding because it will go a long way. And like you were saying about being stuck in your brand, we have felt that at Girl too. We have shifted throughout the years. We've been running our Instagram for over 4 years now, and from where we started to where we are, we've leveled up 1,000%. And
Mhm.
I think that's just the way branding should go. It's not necessarily like you're locked into your color scheme, your fonts, whatever it may be. But if you do want to kind of get out of I actually do have a lot of artists who do it by song release, right? A
Mhm.
song release will only have a certain branding, and then their next 10 posts are a different branding for a different song. You can really play around with branding. I don't think it's super important to feel like you are stuck in what you're doing. You can always evolve. You have to. You're a person, you're evolving anyways. So you might as well keep that consistent to the level that you're at that moment, if that makes sense.
Perfect. I think that's an excellent response. Thank you. And a really smart one. And look at the success of Tizo Touchdown, who
Yeah.
came out of the gate with branding, right? Like that's how
Yeah.
you know him, is branding. So there are so many advantages. Brand partnerships right now. Major brands are looking for micro influencers, micro community motivators, and that includes music artists. So if you are an artist with 5,000 or more followers and you have a strong brand, you are more likely to get a sponsorship from a brand in line with yours. So there's so many benefits to it.
And that's something I do want to like pinpoint too, is a lot of music creators don't think they'll get brand partnerships because they make music. That is so false.
So false.
Please seek out brand partnerships. It is a side income that you need as an artist to get you to get you into the studio, get you a better producer, whatever it may be. Brand partnerships are also very much looking for someone who has a very beautiful looking feed, right? Someone who is active in their community, responding to comments, all that stuff. That's what they're looking for. If you're just posting to post and there's no passion behind it, you're not going
Brands
far.
are going to look over at you. That's
Yeah.
a whole different conversation. I feel like we can talk about brand partnerships for
We really could.
We'll have you back, Kelsey.
Oh, great. I'm ready.
Actually, really great next question. Sorry, Dayna, is that what you were gonna get into?
No, I was actually gonna talk about the burnout part of the conversation.
Yeah.
So, obviously the topic for today is in part how to avoid burnout. What are some early signs of burnout that artists should keep an eye out for? And then also as well, like how can artists balance building their careers on social media with protecting their mental health and then avoiding burnout? I feel like there's definitely some signs that we can all be mindful of and things that we can do to help guide the talent that we're working with in finding that right balance.
Yes, 1,000%. Burnout right now really looks like passionless posting, as I like to call it. A lot of artists these days, when they're usually at the end of their like release cycle, especially, they're just done. And you can tell. I mean, I'm sure Mario agreed. You can look at certain posts from artists who just are posting because their manager told them they had to. You can tell. You can tell. And I think that's the biggest sign. When there's nothing, when you're posting and there's nothing behind it besides just the fact of you trying to get information out, it doesn't come across well. And that's a huge sign of burnout for me. I think a lot of the times avoiding disappearing. You know, as I said earlier, I'm currently going through social media fatigue. My phone is as far away from me as possible these days because I just don't want to look at it. I'm sick of it. That's a huge red flag and why I was like, oh, yeah, I'm tired. I'm done. And I think it's going to be different for everyone what burnout looks like. Some people just go so hard and heavy until they collapse, right? So if you're just churning and not taking breaks for yourself, yeah, you're going to burn out. It's tiring, it's exhausting. So some ideas of avoiding the burnout and things we put in place at GRRRL even, we love scheduling posts. We always say, schedule your damn posts. It makes life so much
I was
easier.
just gonna ask you this. Do you
Ugh,
feel like burnout is a result of not having a social media strategy
yes,
plan?
1,000%. Yes. At GRRRL, we actually content plan a month in advance. So we know at what our weeks look like. We know what we need to film and when we know what we need to edit and when. We really do. We talk at the beginning of the week and say, okay, this is our game plan, and that's the same for artists. They really do need a social media strategy. And that doesn't mean you have to, do the typing in what you're going to do for each day and making it like Charlie Day and Always Sunny with the things and he's looking mad, like you don't need to go crazy about this. It can be so simple. And there's so many tools out there that will help you with social media strategy. I mean, I hate to say this, but AI is super helpful sometimes, especially when you're stuck and you don't know what to do. That's also a huge, huge sign of fatigue and burnout. Is you're just like, why the fuck am I posting? Why, I don't know. Maybe this will stick. That is something that can be easily remedied by just thinking a month ahead. Thinking, especially in terms of artists with their release dates, I I'm a weird person. I have a lot of theories about when you should release specific songs. Stop releasing songs after Thanksgiving. It's going nowhere. Everyone's listening to Christmas music. I think they have to almost look yearly at what their release schedule is and then monthly. Break it down for yourself so that it's not overwhelming, so that you're not constantly being like, what do I post today? I have to post something. Oh shit, well, here's just a photo dump. It means nothing. I'm not doing anything, but I posted at least. That's not the intention behind social media as an artist. You need to be intentional about what you post. And in order to avoid that fatigue, plan. I know my partner calls me Planny McPlannerstein. So I know deeply about planning and making sure that we're not in the lurch for content. And with releases, I do want to say you do want to push harder during release schedules, right? You do want to post a little bit more frequently. But then when your release is done, you can't just disappear. And this is what irritates me so deeply is an artist will release a song, it'll get some traction, and then they just go away and you have no idea where they are and you're like, "Hi ding dong, where are you?" And I think while bigger artists have that luxury of going away and taking time and relaxing and then back in the studio, smaller artists don't. And I think that that's the way, unfortunately, it is. So, how do we avoid the burnout of that? So, maybe you post 3 to 5 times a week during your release schedule. And then afterwards, you bring it down to like maybe two, if that's your vibe. If you're posting all day, every day, maybe scale it back a little bit. Just don't fully disappear from your community because they will forget about you. That's the problem with being oversaturated with music these days, is they will just move on to the next artist. To build community, you have to be active. You cannot take a back seat to your career. You have to be proactive. You have to get out there and you have to post. And so I think using programs like later.com, great. They are amazing for scheduling posts. Instagram now has their own scheduling system.
Mhm.
It's a little wonky right now, but it's fine. There are multiple platforms that will allow you to schedule things. And not only that, but I use what I call low energy content techniques or high energy content techniques. Low energy being like maybe a photo dump, right? Something that you can easily put together, but there's still intention behind it. You're still being like, hey, this is what I've been up to for the past week or whatever it may be. Low energy also includes things like, just a snippet of your song with some lyrics over it. Super easy to do. Mix low and high. High energy content being like you're making an entire video, you have to edit it, you have to post it, all that kind of stuff. I say mix them up. If you do two high energy posts in a week, maybe the next week you slow it down a little bit. You do some lower energy content. But again, you're still posting. And while everyone says it, I feel like we don't really lean into it, is that consistency is key. It really is. The only reason girl music has found growth, I swear, is because of our consistency. And we just won't back down. We refuse. So it's almost like you have to fight against the man in a way, the man being social media, and really plan on look at what your days look like. If you have a week you know is way busier in your real life and you know you can't get to social media as much as you want, low energy.
Mhm.
If you are having a slower week, start batching videos of yourself. Start doing anything and everything that you can that you know you won't want to do later. It really, really helps.
And do you feel like when you're posting content, right? We talk about engagement. So it's
Mm,
one thing to post high energy, low energy, doesn't matter. You're going to get reactions, but that engagement, right? The genuine engagement, more than just clicking a heart.
yes.
How do you bring that out of the people who are looking at your content, right? And we over here call that call to actions.
Yes.
Do you find it's very important to always have calls to action?
Yes. 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 Um, if you just post something with a caption of out with my friends, who's going to comment on that? Who there's no purpose to it. But if you say, what did you guys do this week? Or tell me a crazy story about something that happened to you this weekend, something that's engaging that someone can answer a question is so important. And here's the problem. I fall into this too. I follow people, but I never engage. I like scrolling, I like seeing what they're posting, but I'm never like typing out things with them. And to get that is will take a hot second. People aren't just going to openly comment on it, but as soon as they get to know you and know what is funny to you, know what is enjoyable, everything like that, they will start to comment. They will be, you almost like let them inside to your inside jokes, if that makes sense. Like you
Mhm.
do need to build community in a way that's enticing them to communicate with you. And I think another thing is, yeah, you can like things, but commenting back, even if it's just a thank you, even if it's just a heart emoji, that means a lot to a lot of people. And that will have people coming back to you and again, engaging with your content and everything like that. Also, make it engageable, right? On stories, you can put up polls, you can put up questions. You can do a lot of things that directly connect you to the fan base. Broadcast channels, huge, huge right now. I'm in like 20 because these are all artists who will give me updates as they happen, and I don't have to pull it out of them or search for it. It's automatically, it's almost like a little newsletter. Like it just gets deposited into my DMs, and I'm like, great, congratulations, you know? It really does have this back and forth that you want to build with people because otherwise they're just not going to care. They're just going to keep scrolling past. Making engaging content is really important, really hard when you're beginning because it's just like, well, who's going to care? Why am I putting this out? I'm embarrassed. I hate this. Don't be embarrassed. I've seen the craziest shit on TikTok or Instagram. There are people out there who should be embarrassed, but you are definitely not one of them. Artists are artists are great. You know, they have such a liveliness about them that we gravitate towards that as humans. And I think if the artists themselves just puts themselves out there a little smidgen, they will get that engagement back that they're looking for.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dana, at this point, do we want to open it up for some Q&As?
I think let's open it up for the collaborative part of the discussion. I think let's talk about new social media like content tools, maybe what some of the platforms are currently rolling out that might be of interest. You know, Kelsey, you just mentioned, for example, the Instagram broadcast channels. What's great about those is it is like an email, like you've given permission for someone to contact you directly. And when you are trying to share information on the platforms through like the grid or reels or stories, you really are like up against the algorithm at that point. Whereas these Instagram broadcast channels are great because it just goes directly to the person who has said that they want to hear from you and you can make sure that they get the information. So what are some other, I guess, what are some other kind of new social media content tools that we're all using that we would might recommend or things that we're hearing are coming?
Yeah, so I actually do want to bring this up because I just heard about this. Tidal, we all know Tidal, the streaming service. They are actually putting together like a grant system for artists who apply within Tidal. So I am trying my best to get everyone on Tidal. I'm so sick of Spotify's BS. And Tidal is really trying to build up the younger generation and the smaller artists by if they essentially if they apply within the Tidal program, there's an ability to get money from Tidal to do whatever you want with it, right? That is incredible. And I really hope a lot more platforms that are bigger like Tidal will start doing the same thing. I think everyone needs to know about this. And there's a chance that you'll get added to Tidal Rising, which is their, fresh finds, whatever Spotify does. That I'm telling you all, use the tools in your Spotify for artists, in your Tidal for artists. Please use those back end tools because they actually do help you. Yes, Spotify's algorithm sucks and it's a little wonky, but it's still important to try because you never, ever know. Maybe that song will get picked and you'll be catapulted onto their incredible playlist. Or, maybe it wasn't this time and you keep trying. So that is one platform I really want to push people towards is like, get money, honey. Get your money.
Is
Go,
this
go.
for every artist? Is like an
Yeah.
artist guaranteed a grant, or you have to apply?
Not guaranteed. You have to apply. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely an application. But they made it seem like it was going to be very consistent and not just like one person. You know what I mean? It seems like they're going to try to bring in a lot of people to this program. And I don't think they've really talked about it yet. So jump on it.
Amazing. Well, hey, Playground, you just got some inside info.
Something that I actually recommend with the clients that I work with is utilize as many of the tools on the platforms as you can, because that's what ultimately the goal of all of these social media platforms is that they want to keep people on site for as long as possible. So if you're utilizing tools that actively keep them on site, then that's ultimately going to help you within the algorithm. You look at YouTube with the expansion into shorts. Right now, my understanding is that if you are actively utilizing shorts, it will positively increase your follower number or your subscriber number on the platform.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, and I've seen it as well. It's amazing. Yeah. I've heard too that Spotify they've already opened clips up in the last kind of 9 to 12 months or so. But they're also looking soon to probably roll out within the US that you can host your music videos on the platform as well. So right. Again, just like another tool for you to be able to I think there's the conversation with so many artists these days about, oh, we don't want to create long form content, everything's vertical, everything's short. But when you see additions like that to platforms like Spotify, there's definitely a larger conversation around the value of longer form content or official music videos and things like that again as well. So that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to potentially rolling out soon.
And I have a question for you too. Have you found, and this is something we've seen, more people are creating music videos again? Like we're back in 2000s, baby, and I'm loving it.
I have a theory.
Okay, tell me.
The average song nowadays is like what, a minute and 45 seconds?
Probably, yeah.
Literally a short form video. Like, I feel like we're creating music videos again because it's aligned with short form video times and lengths. You don't need a 4 to 5 minute video anymore, which is triple the amount of time, right? In video production. You can make a short form video look like an entire music video, which I love. I think it really helps expand the conversation and the storytelling because you can make so many different videos and renditions for the same song.
Yes, you can cut that YouTube music video up and post it.
Come on
everywhere. Coming back to what you said earlier as well, Kelsey, about AI. I find like ChatGPT to be a fantastic tool for just like making a lot of what I do in my day-to-day job more efficient. You have to train it because it can be pretty exuberant at first, and you really want to get it to rein it in from like its exclamation marks and its bold
emojis, all their emojis. I'm like, ChatGPT, calm down.
But once it's trained, like it, I for example had it do YouTube descriptions. We redid the YouTube SEO across the entire platform for a client, and I had it. All I put in was like. What we know about this video, created, performed, title, label, and it would write a full description. So it can be great for even just ideas about content as well. But Mario.
Agree.
Mario, hello. Thank you for joining us. I'd love to open it up to see if you have any questions.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So I came into this with kind of from multiple angles. Um, and Kelsey, I know you've seen some of the stuff I post, and I know that it's not always focused. Because initially the brand that I thought I was creating was going to be more about curating music and being a playlister, but then we started working with artists, and so the rapper that I'm co-managing, he is affiliated with a very well-known hip hop collective, but he hasn't been promoting his music for years. So when you look at his social media, you don't know that he's affiliated with this very well-known brand. And he has told us, okay, let's wipe out the social media because he just looks like a regular guy who has social media.
Yeah.
So we want to start all over with his brand. And it's a little overwhelming just thinking, oh wow, he's been in the game for a couple of decades and hasn't released a lot of music lately. We have to start all over.
Mhm.
And so I'm thinking about that. And then and he's on the East Coast, and then there's an artist locally here in town who I work with, and he never wants to post anything unless it's professionally done. No videos, no photo shoots. It's got to be a photographer. It can't be on our cameras. So he hasn't posted anything in a couple of months. And then with our brand, as now that we're working with artists, I want to focus on that. And I've talked to people who said, okay, well now you, Mario, should be posting stuff about what you can offer to artists so that you can build a full roster of managing and booking artists. And I struggle with what to post on LinkedIn or what to post on Instagram and TikTok. So I'm looking at this from those three different angles. And before I post a single thing, I feel overwhelmed and burned out. And I don't know how to focus on it because it's not just one issue.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of wondering what your advice is trying to tackle
Yeah.
all those things at once.
So I think definitely for you personally, Mario, like education is key. Like I think you've seen on Girl, we've started to do a lot more educational series. We've
Yes.
started to talk to our audience to be like, hey, we're helping you. Here's how. I think for you, that's a great place to start. And if you're passionate about, I know you are a passionate speaker, and I think you have incredible ideas. And I think if you just sat down and talked straight onto the camera, you can always edit, it doesn't have to be something so well spoken. You can edit yourself. But I think really just you speaking to the camera about what you offer, why do you differentiate from other managers? What is your niche in the managing side of things? And if you hate making videos, honestly, Canva, make a carousel post about the tips you have for artists if they don't have a manager, and then say why you're a good manager. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately for us as curators, it's a little bit like selling things, and it's really icky. It's icky to me too. I feel that deeply. But for that aspect, I think you just want to be so personable because people love you when you are personable. I've seen it on threads. Like, people really gravitate towards just your open honesty. Be that way on Instagram. LinkedIn, a little weird. I'm about to dive into LinkedIn for Girl, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. But I think it is a really good platform for professional insights, so to speak. So like this, I would put on my LinkedIn. I think making Instagram a little bit more fun and a little bit more less serious, and then LinkedIn is a little bit more serious, and then Threads is a wild west right now. You can do whatever you want. Um, in regards to your rapper, I love starting over. I think that can be fine. You just archive posts. We archive all the time. What I would say is pretend he's a brand new artist. Pretend he has never released a song in his life. I will say though, nostalgia is huge right now, huge. And I think if you could lean into that with him, especially with his older music, absolutely jump on that. Maybe some fun videos. I see some funny things of him making fun of himself, like really crazy things like that. And then I would also say, like, he needs to put that collective, like, in his bio, like at whatever the collective is. Like, that needs to be very well known, and ask the collective to repost him, be like, oh yeah, this guy's in here. Collaboration is key, as we all know. make sure that they are aware that he's really amping up again and that he's ready to commit to this and that he's going for it. For your artist who doesn't want to post anything, I feel this pain deeply. I know so many artists who are like, I want it to look super curated. I'm like, okay, curated is very lovely. It's very nice, but do you have the budget for that? Realistically, do you have the budget? If you want to grow your music career, you have to be consistent. So you do have to give up a little bit of that professionalism aspect in order to continue making content for himself. Like iPhones are great these days.
I would
We
even argue professionally made content on TikTok makes it feel like you're using a social media manager and not yourself,
Yes.
which would
Yeah.
hurt you with
Yes.
your audience and fan connection,
Yes.
particularly on TikTok. Uh,
Agree.
so
Agree.
it just doesn't do well because people feel like TikTok is you personally. Instagram's expected that you're going to have curated, beautiful content. It's like a website almost these days, like your website brought to life. But TikTok is about you as a person, very short bites of your life. So I think he shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really hard to get people out of that mindset. I know I had to work with an artist where I was like trying to put it in her brain. I was like, no, no, we can do this differently. It doesn't have to do that. But at the end of the day, your artist is going to do what they want to do. But just tell them, be like, hey, I know for a fact you won't advance in your career unless you are posting consistently. You have to leave that up to him, unfortunately. Again, there are so many ways to have a curated looking feed without it going to the professional level, if that makes sense. You can have beautiful photos done, but they're not at the expense of $200 an hour, right? You
Right.
can shoot really cool videos on your iPhone that, again, free. Like it talking to him about professionalism versus content, I think is a good conversation to start with him because I think there's a place to be super professional, like on his website. There's a place to be
Mhm.
a little bit more him, which is Instagram. I hope
Okay.
that
Yeah.
helps.
Yes, that's super helpful. Thank you on all coming in from all angles.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Uh,
You're working with so many people, Mario. Holy crap. I could barely take on one client. I was like, I can't do this.
well, I'm not alone. I have
Good.
co-managers,
Good.
co-owners, but we don't want to mess it up because
Yeah.
we've worked really hard to gain the trust of people, especially well, all of them are great, but especially this rapper that is part of this well-known group where like I see people wearing the group's shirts
That's so
all
cool.
the time.
That's
No
awesome.
one has a clue that he's affiliated with them.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I want to,
Yeah,
and he
he
wants
needs
to redo
to
social media. He's like,
he
I want
needs
to
to
make sure I don't
pimp
mess it
that
up.
out. Yeah, and here's the thing. I know we all feel kind of icky about asking for favors from people. I hate it, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to help each other succeed. And I think that's the best part about this small community of up and coming artists and what Big Ass Kids does and what we do. Like we are trying to uplift and you are trying to uplift. And I think the more we all kind of come together and help each other out, the better we will all be in the long run because labels are about to go away. Big labels are hurting. And I think we have the chance as indies to really take the music industry in the direction we want to. So, yeah, I think just be yourself, Mario. You're the best.
Yeah. And it,
But I look at what you do all the time. You and
Oh,
there's a couple of other folks like Annabelle,
yeah.
um,
Oh,
that
love
I
Annabelle.
just kind of study on and then terribly imitate it. But yeah, I'm
No,
trying to work on that.
no, no, no.
Thank you.
You'll find your voice. I promise. It took us a while to find our voice as well on social media. And once we did, it was like so easy peasy for us to make content.
yeah.
Cool.
Um, I think we're kind of at time now, but is there any other questions or any other points we want to get into before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I will say, one tool, if you do want to really dive into the weeds of social media strategy, What does help is using an app like Trello or Monday.com. We use Monday. It really helps you see your organization and what you need to do when on what day. It will ping you when you need to do something. It'll ping you when you're late. It's a really good way to kind of see a huge calendar without feeling overwhelmed. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
I do have one thought. Meta and music. We see a lot of music coming out now, J. Cole, Kendrick on Instagram because Meta has new licensing, right?
Mhm.
I don't fully understand this, but I think it's something that artists need to know about, music marketers need to know about, because if we're shifting into releasing on Instagram, what does that look like? What does it include? Where are the rights right here? Like, where's our money going?
Mhm.
Why is it being pushed? What clicks into the algorithm? All of those things. Do you have any insight there?
I haven't heard of that, but I think what's happening is that more of these social media platforms, again, TikTok had that whole beef with UMG, right?
Mhm.
And then
Who
UMG
doesn't have a beef
yeah.
with UMG?
Amen. Amen. But, then UMG backed off because they know TikTok, social media is such a huge way that people get their music nowadays, that by not having that, they actually end up losing money. So I do think we're going to see this trend a lot more of people, especially bigger artists, because they can. I wouldn't recommend it as a practice for smaller up and coming artists, just because that's really hard unless you have that built-in community. I have to dive into this.
I
This
have to
is,
dive into it. I think it's their way of building super fan communities,
yeah, that
turning
would make
fans to
sense.
their broadcast channels. I think there's a lot of ways they can go. I'm curious to see, and I think we're gonna have to have a part two of our monthly
Oh,
with
darn.
Dayna
Oh,
about
darn.
this, or maybe a special edition, because I do think this can be really impactful. And I
Very.
do think 2025, if this is what I think it is, will be a lot of Instagram music releases. What does that
Yeah.
look like? I
And
want
I'm curious to see what happens to TikTok in a couple of months. So definitely a part two coming in
part
2025.
two for sure. Listen, I appreciate you guys so
Of
much for
course.
sharing energy with
Yeah.
me, for sharing time with me. Dayna, thank you so much for hosting and ideating this incredible conversation. Do you want to close us out with a few words?
Thanks everybody for attending. Glad to have you here and excited for the conversations that are going to come next. The Big Arts Kids community is worth supporting, so get involved and see you in the playground.
Thank you so much. You can find us at B.A.K Play.Ground.com or at B.A.K Play.Ground on Instagram. Do you guys want to share your Instagrams too, or how people can contact you?
Yeah, you can always find us at Girl Music, 3 R's. We're pretty much everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, everywhere at Girl Music.
And you can find me at fredandaugustus.com.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy
Thank
the rest of
you.
your week.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.